Shabbat Shalom, I see you've clicked on this video, which means you're curious about how my game developing is going. Let me show you something. Today I'm wrapping up the week and sharing what I managed to accomplish in my project. It's going to be interesting, especially if you're a game dev yourself. You'll get a real look at how things go in practice. Background. Let me give you a little context before we dive in. I'm developing a game together with my colleague. It's a pet project. Kind of like a creative sandbox we're building for our portfolio and improve our skills. So what kind of game is it? Well, imagine Doodle Jump but without the doodle and without the jumping. Yeah, it sounds weird, but that's the beauty of it. We are building something unique, familiar in terms of mechanics, but with a fresh twist and distinct style. Part 1. Particles, camera and interface. The first thing I tackled this week was reworking the particle system. Not for the first time, but this time it finally clicked. It turned out exactly the way I wanted. Seriously, it felt amazing. There's something special about seeing your custom-made effect actually working and looking cool on screen. Pure satisfaction. After that, I turned my attention to the camera. The old camera movement felt way too harsh. I wanted something smoother, so that the player wouldn't feel like the cat, but rather like they are observing the cat. I fine-tuned the movement, ran a bunch of tests, and now it works just the way I imagined it. No stuttering, no junk. It's nothing insanely complex, but the impact on the player experience is huge. This section also includes some UI work. I configure a results panel that now shows how far you made it, how much stuff you picked up, and what kind of bonuses you collected. I added a couple of placeholders for future features. They don't have functionality yet, but they're already on the scene. I improved the platform generation to make it more stable. I also check how the player's laser looks on the mobile. Since I'm optimizing the game for phones from the very beginning. Funny enough, all this took way more time than I expected. But as they say, it's deals in the details. Better to put things now than refactor everything later. Part 2. Cartoon style animations and the twin. Next up, animations. Not just for looks, but to bring the game to life and make it feel playful and expressive. For that, I use Twin, one of the most popular twinning libraries in Unity. It lets you animate anything, UI, objects, transformation, and it does it all smoothly. Of course, I was a bit clueless at first. I hadn't worked with Twin much before, so I had to experiment a lot. Different approaches, behavior testing, timing setups, easy function, you name it. But now, I can confidently say that learning Twin gave me a huge boost. The game finally started to breathe. Even simple button and object animations make a big difference in overall feel. So, if you haven't tried Twin yet, I highly recommend it. Part 3. Platform animator and flexible architecture. After getting comfy with Twin, I started thinking about the architecture side of things. I realized I had to separate animations from gameplay logic, or I would get completely lost in my own code in a week. So I created a custom class, Platform Animator. Think of it as a main action library for each platform. There aren't too many platforms, but this setup gives each one the potential to have its own unique animation, all managed from a central place. That makes it easy to main scale and reuse. You might ask, why bother animation platforms? But here's the thing, even small visual touches contribute to the player's experience. When a platform wiggles a bit as it appears or fades out smoothly, it gives the game more character. And to wrap up this section, I added a little game over animation. Now when the player loses, there's smooth game over, sliding rather than just a dropped screen change. Looks way more polished. Part 4. Art assets from the designer. Time for some art assets. My design colleague sent over our first full sprite pack, and honestly it felt amazing. Finally, I could see the game real style instead of working with the placeholder art. You'll probably see the process in a time lapse in the video, or I'll just cut in some footage. I spent more time inserting the assets than actually configuring them. At first I made the mistakes of importing each sprite individually, which turned out to be a huge mess. Then I tried to make a sprite atlas, but Unity started acting weird, and it didn't work out. I got confused and in the end just made a custom sprite map manually in Photoshop. No less, just to stop wasting time. It was consuming, but now the assets are ready to use in the game. Little fact, I also tried to combine particles with the new sprites, but it didn't go well. That's something I will shelve for now. Maybe I'll make a separate video about it later. Part 5. Asset configuration and the hellish backgrounds. This is where the real pain began. Sprite configuration hell. I finally started working on the sprite size, and man, it wasn't easy. The sprite dimensions were off, the quality didn't line up, the artwork was giving me more problem than help. Basically a ton of tiny issues that slowed me down way more than the actual gameplay code ever did. In the video you will see me arranging elements in the scene, still a rough draft for now. And then the background. When I tried adding the background, I felt like my brain was going to explode. Scaling, camera facing, positioning, nothing was going smoothly. But I took a deep breath and told myself, this is just another step forward. In the end, I created background prefab. I reference point on the top and bottom so I could generate it cleanly via code, and started building a more complete picture of my scene. Part 6. Generation polish. By the end of the week, I mostly focused on polishing. I was tired and didn't have a ton of energy left, but still managed to get a few things done. Finalized platform generation. Test out the background generation. Had a quick discussion with my teammates about the we'll be working on next. It's not perfect yet, but the system is stable, and that gives us a solid foundation for next week. Part 7. Summary and outro. And that's wrap for this week update. On one hand, it might not seem like I got a lot done, but when you look at the sheer number of small tasks, there were tons, and each one of them pushed the game forward. I'm happy with the results, but I know I can do more, and I will. What do you think about the game transformation so far? Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts, or comments on Telegram. Time for me to get a bit of rest. See you in the next video, my friends. Goodbye.